Welcome, Lucky. Lucky from Nigeria is the CEO of SaBi Exchange, and he is the founder of SaBi Group, SaBi Exchange, core team member, and he earned finance to blockchain technology, artificial intelligence, element certified, also called certified cryptocurrency specialist, entrepreneur, philanthropist. Lucky, go ahead, make
All
your
right.
session.
All right. Thanks, Rajan, and thanks for the introduction. Still going on the trend for 2021, which the first 10 had just already talked about in his first presentation, which is focusing around decentralized finance and non-fungible token, like we already know, or like most of us are already beginning to anticipate that 2021 will be the year for NFTs and DeFi per se. My topic around will be coupled from my experience within the Yen Finance too, which is one of the most popular DeFi related projects out there, and also my continuous interest and research around non-fungible tokens per se. While for us as a startup, some of our key strategies or some of the challenges we faced around decentralized finances for the fact that unlike ICOs where people are actually given opportunity to pitch out their products and try to convince the public. For most of the DeFi-based projects, it doesn't necessarily work in that particular light. A lot of persons who have tried out DeFi either chose to come from the part of an experiment. But going beyond the experimental phase, we now begin to see that this is much more than an experiment. Of course, giving credence to people like the likes of Andre Cronje, who have really done great work into making decentralized finance a little more popular. But we should note, if we go back down in history, decentralized finance have been a little bit older than the current 2020 trend that we are seeing. Tan also did mention about there was a time when in DeFi space around $30 million was the total value lock, but as of today, it's not really the case. A couple of the challenges we faced in the course of trying to push out DeFi-related product as a startup have always been from the fact that there is no tested grounds. Like you don't have a reference where you can point to say there are success. As a matter of fact, for most of the DeFi-related projects that even start that were in existence, let me make a reference to MakerDAO of 2016, which is like one of the earliest form of DeFi related projects, MakerDAO. It was referenced as a failed project, even so as far as impacting the likes of Ethereum. So most persons who probably want to come into the space or who want to try out products within the DeFi space, we always want to point back to the negative experience we faced. But of course, we cannot stand on the fact that we made mistake or we made errors, that we will continue to dwell on that. We just have to push. Like Andrew Crozier will always say, he tests in production, even though some of us within the community might not really be too cool with that idea where you test in production. He feels it's just best for us to keep building and bringing out the product, and we continue to learn by the way, even though some persons see it as a little bit dangerous precedent. Now, for me, if I want to talk from the perspective of someone who's actively playing in the space, and even as an author, or I did write a book where I was able to give people some pictorial practical guide around how to experiment or try out some of these things. A lot of persons want to come into the space from the perspective of the high numbers or the high growth or the high margin, the APY that are just so outrageous. A lot of the DeFi's upon launch, you'll be seeing something like over 1,000 APY or 1,000% in terms of return on capital. Even though these are not necessarily sustainable in the long term, they are quite possible at the initial stage because of the continuous buzz in it. So for a lot of persons, if you want to even try out DeFi, I would say try it out at the earliest phase and experiment with it. For me, I experiment in a lot of them, and I would always encourage people to experiment with very little capital. Even if it means doing something as low as $50 or $20, just experiment it and see how it goes. For non-fungible token as a community, which I'm really part of, because I'm part of a lot of the most Chinese non-fungible tokens community, where we've experimented or played with things around Rarible, we've played with things around with open marketplaces like OpenSea, which Tan also did make reference in when he was presenting earlier. I've seen that the community for non-fungible token is still small in perspective when you compare them to the general landscape. And for exchange owners like us, most non-fungible tokens right now are actually not available on most exchanges. Even though I own an exchange, I'm yet to list one non-fungible token for the fact that we're still seeing the market as being too small. But from a decentralized perspective, a lot of us still use them. A lot of us play in them. If I am to show my screen right now, there are a couple of those non-fungible tokens which have been able to tokenize, including art and some rare item. Case in point, the founder of Tesla, Elon Musk, made a post 2 days ago or 3 days ago around some pictures where he was trying to depict something around focus and all those things. I saw that picture or that art as a very priceless thing. Of course, I did made a post, and the next thing I decided to do was to store up or keep that particular piece of art on the blockchain using Rarible platform. I was able to do that and then put it up on OpenSea. These are one clear-cut use case of valuable things or valuable items that one can be able to keep permanently for life. Of course, they are not my original artwork, and I did make reference to Elon Musk, who is the founder of Tesla, around the work where I shared it on most social media platforms where I belong to. These are clear-cut use cases. As much as it's still a new trend, as much as I own an exchange and I run one, I'm yet to even list any of the non-fungible token. But I see that decentralized finance will play much more bigger role come 2021 for the fact that people at this point in time still just want full control over what they own, full control over what the government is saying, because we begin to see some policies or some laws that are coming out where you just need to even register non-custodial wallet and all those kind of things. People will begin to look for ways or means where they can be able to have much more better control in terms of what they own. And I think artwork will get some form of new trend or new dimension with the case of NFTs per se. As founders or as startup, which I'm also part of, I will continue to see opportunities in this field for the very single fact that first, they're still innovative, they're still new, they're still novel, and second, for the fact that they require a lot of experiment at this stage. If the experimental phase were not given for projects like Bitcoin at the earliest phase, probably will not be able to benefit from it as of today. Of course, there are times we'll be faced with things around Ponzi schemes that might be attached to it. People will be hurt along the way. People could be impacted negatively along the way. These are just part of the learning phase or learning trend for us. And it is because of this impact that is making exchange owners not least most of this DeFi or NFT assistance now. But of course, I would always encourage people, or I always encourage the public, to try them, experiment them from a decentralized perspective, where even if they are not available on most centralized exchange like ours, in the case of SaBi exchange in this case, you can be able to use more decentralized marketplace. Tan did make mention of, he's talking about KingSwap. So with the launch of products or services like the likes of KingSwap, which Tan had talked about, we can be able to still explore this particular product without having to wait on if centralized exchange lists them or not. And I think the best time for anybody to start experimenting or trying these things are now. For me, I've been a good art collector when it comes to NFTs, and I will continue to collect as much possible art as I can, but strictly from the perspective of experimental phase. Now, if it pays out, fine, I'll most be glad about it. But I'm more of the guy who prefer to experiment things at the initial stage and see how it goes, and continue to see how best to innovate or improve on them. And I think it is as a result of this experimental phase that made even the likes of Ethereum and Bitcoin even very popular today. Most persons who probably tried out Bitcoin in the initial stage, they weren't trying it out necessarily from the perspective that one day it will overshadow the dollar or overshadow the global market. They tried it because they felt it was a very good, innovative idea, and it was novel at that time, and it became a boom. And then good luck to the people who started early and held on strong. So I think, again, NFTs, even though still young, or non-fungible tokens, even though still young, will really hold a very key area. We saw some glimpse of hope in 17 when CryptoKitten, which is like one of the popular NFTs at that time, showed this massive boom run, and we begin to see more guys in the DeFi space play around NFTs. In fact, Yen Finance too, which I'm a core team member of, we now begin to see how we could put a blend between DeFi's and NFTs. And now the beautiful thing about it is, if decentralized finance is beginning to have a total log value of over $16 billion as of today, imagine what the impact will be for NFTs that is just starting out. And virtually almost every DeFi project that I'm beginning to interact with as of today, even Yen Finance too, which I'm a strong team or core team member of, we now begin to see much more bigger or greater potential in it, for the fact that we can be able to use it as a way to even incentivize people to contribute towards the community without having to wait for when we get funded and all those kind of stuff. Today, I hold some NFT tokens that are courtesy of Yen Finance too, as a result of encouragement for my hard work and all those kind of stuff. These are like very rare medals. So imagine in a case where the actual gold medal for the world best player, if for some reason in future he chose to tokenize just that particular piece of gold medal, the best way to be able to tokenize and probably sell them off, if he wants to do that in an open market, will be nothing but NFTs or non-fungible tokens, because commodities like that are very rare. I remember there was a time great boxers like Michael Jackson was probably we learned he was broke or something like that, and he was even looking out for ways to probably sell off some valuable item. If NFT were in existence at the time, the likes of Michael Jackson was looking out for ways to he didn't really see the medals again as something worthwhile for him at that time when he was going through his own issue. Imagine if he chose to tokenize them, the likes of Michael Jackson as well. Imagine we tokenizing his piece of cloth or those valuable piece of item. NFT is the right way to go for those things. Now, for a lot of persons, they might not see the potential from this industry as now, because from the number perspective or from the price action perspective, it might not be huge. But I think the best time to begin to play around them, accumulate as much NFT as you can is now, because 2021 for me is the best year for decentralized finance and NFTs. Like I will always say, the global markets or the global blockchain markets is beginning to segment itself, or the global cryptocurrency market, they begin to segment themselves. Bitcoin have already carved out a niche for itself. Altcoins altogether is already another niche. While the likes of decentralized finance and the likes of NFTs are a total new niche. So imagine having an opportunity to start afresh when Bitcoin was probably in its earliest phase. This is the best time for you to participate in that particular industry or participate in this new ecosystem that is coming out. NFT is the way to go. There are a couple of books or articles that are out there, which of course I've written one of them from the experimental phase of DeFi, and I think with the continuous demand that I'm beginning to see for NFTs, there is probably a more reason why we should even write about them. And I think even Tan did some good justice to it when I saw him share a copy of his book when he was doing a presentation earlier. These are the way to go. So for startup, there are challenges people are beginning to face. But I think if we are to go from the perspective of fundraising for DeFi, I think DeFi fundraising is like the easiest or the best way to go at this point in time. For the fact that regulatory wise, you're not necessarily too compelled to meet certain standard. You are only compared from the perspective of doing or delivering the right product out there, then people are willing to or able to participate in it. That's the thing. But if I'm to say what are the challenges that we are currently facing from the perspective, if I'm to say what are the challenges that we're currently facing from the perspective of startup for DeFi or NFT, I would say it's from the fact that very few people or little people know about this, and there are a lot of pump and dump or scheme out there that are actually hindering the positive light of what this actual product or solution will be for the world. And I even see a lot of those emerging countries that are actually either underdeveloped or lacking access to basic finance being able to use it. And I also see even the likes of Europe that are already currently facing negative interest rates to use more of this product per se. And that's for me will be my take for now on this particular side of the conversation. And I'll come back to you later on when it's panel session. Thank you, Rajan.
Thank you. So, thank you, Lucky. It was very inspiring. And Nigeria seems to be a very promising market. Looking at you, I could see a lot of DeFi projects are coming up in Nigeria.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So definitely Nigeria is very
Absolutely.
promising. And thanks for your presentation. And it will be inspiring for all the audience in Nigeria and
Thank you.
Africa. Thank you. Thank you for that. Now we go for the next. I'm ending the session. Thank
Thank you.
you.